Hello all! My name is KyngPin, and welcome to the first episode in a new series, hopefully. This is Scribble to Shading, where we make characters and whatnot based off of silhouette scribbles. If you don't know what a silhouette scribble is, basically it's frantically drawing the silhouette of a character or place, and then adding in lines and details later. I was taught this method in one of my classes as a way to free up my thinking process, and oh buddy, oh boy, does it work! Never in a million years would I ever think of drawing this. Oh, it's blurry. Well, I guess you'll just have to stick around and find out what we drew. Let's get started. I first moved myself off the canvas so I wasn't in the way when I was drawing, and then proceeded to scribble with no control whatsoever of the end product. Or so I tried. Once I had the head scribble placed on the body scribble in a way that would have made Dr. Frankenstein proud, I added white lines and separated the head, body, and wings so I didn't end up with a big black blob, although that was the original point. The next step was a rough sketch, which was cleaning up the silhouette with rough lines and getting a more specific idea of what I wanted the character to look like. So I dropped the opacity of the silhouette, created a new layer to scratch my ideas on. For the most part, I stuck with the general idea of the silhouette except when it came to the body. I didn't like the idea of having such a round body and played with different ideas until I noticed it was round, like a tomato. Or a tomato. I then made the executive decision that our dragon would be popping out of a tomato. Of course, the initial size of the dragon had to be toned down, or else we would have had one hell of a tomato on our hands.
Oh, yes! I love it!
After I finalized how I wanted the dragon to look, it was time for line art. In this step, I just traced what I did in the last step. That's it. Moving on. With our dragon now drawn in beautiful straight lines, we got to the fun part. Almost. I still had to separate the dragon into 3 or 4 different values, which would help me with shading and coloring down the line. I created a mid-tone gray silhouette for our, air quotes, finished dragon, which allowed me to stay within the lines within future steps. I then went through and separated the skin, the tomato, and the wings based on their values, having the inside of the mouth be the darkest and the tomato being the lightest. Now, with the base values out of the way and the light source determined, we were ready to move on to shading, the final step of the streaming portion. By using solid colors and layer masks, most of the time, I used black and white at low fills and painted the way the light would hit the dragon and the tomato. Shading is always my least favorite part because I have absolutely no idea how light works. It's always bouncing off the walls like a 5-year-old on a sugar rush, winding up in places you didn't even draw. Alas, I made it through relatively unharmed. I signed the piece and presented the stream with the final product. Or so I thought. After some peer review, and a class on coloring techniques, I decided to fix the shading and add color off stream. Although if I knew it would have taken an additional 3 hours, I probably would have streamed that portion too. Fixing the shading wasn't too bad, I just went in and added a slightly darker shadow layer and then blended everything together. Same idea with the color. I used layer masks to paint and blend with certain colors, mostly through trial and error though. I had already done a mock-up, so I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted the colors to be. Although the tomato was originally a deep purple, which was disgusting. Anyway, I went through and colored, then I added a gradient background, a shadow underneath, and our tiny tomato dragon was complete for the world to see. So, it's a couple days later, and I gotta say, I'm very happy with how this turned out. For one of my first times trying this method, I think it went pretty well. Remember, we started with this scribble and made it into this. I had a lot of fun doing this project, and it was great to share with you guys on Twitch. If you want to see more of this series, subscribe and hit the bell, like the video, and check out my Twitch on KyngPin of Spades, where I will most likely be doing these and then uploading them to YouTube. Until next time, see ya!